is a time when living in the moment may not feel the best right now. It is a time where it may feel better to just close your eyes and go back to a Christmas season when 2020 just seemed like some far out date where there was flying cars and whatever else we saw in the Jetsons. It's a time to remember those great moments with your family, those great gifts, whether it be a bicycle or a Nintendo 64 or a BB gun or a doll or whatever it is. It is a time to remember time spent with loved ones that may not be here right now. But one thing you can kind of be sure of is thinking of those times in the past. You may not have been able to drink coffee and whiskey, but you can now. Let's get into this. So today I want to talk about marketing, more specifically the marketing of whiskey and what it has come to be and why it has come to be. But ask yourself, what is whiskey? Do you know? There's a definition and you can Google it, but what is whiskey and why do we have it? What you need to kind of get a fuller picture of this problem is ask yourself, what is a chicken? Can you define it in words? Or even if I give you a picture, could you fully explain why one picture is of a chicken and why one picture is not? Part of the definition of whiskey and why there is a legal definition is kind of planting the flag. The cops won't go after you, but the competitors in the industry will. Well, it's like planting a flag. It's more it's putting constraints on exploration. You can do certain things, but ultimately the consumer is going to have some readily identifiable, there's going to have to be some recognition of what is this particular product. And you may think, well, why does this have to happen? Is this just big corporate trying to abuse the little guy? And it's not. But if you don't set boundaries, you can get some really crazy stuff that's not even originally thought of to be part of the product, which here would be whiskey. But go over to think Bloody Marys and how a simple drink now can be advertised as being garnished with hamburger sliders. That's cool and everything, but somebody's gonna have to know that that's just not the norm. That's not typically what that product is. The circle of people that might care, as I said, is smaller, but it's of their survival to kind of set these boundaries. In summary, what I'd like to say is, don't vodka my whiskey. Whiskey is a certain concoction, and then there's other concoctions that are different. A clear liquid could be defined as a whiskey, might fit the definition, but it's not. I need that brown golden sunshine. That is whiskey. It could be Scotch, it could be bourbon, it could be Canadian whiskey, it could be Irish whiskey, but it's still got to be whiskey, and it can't be rum, it can't be tequila. Keep whiskey. Okay, so today we are reviewing Canadian Club 12 year out of Windsor, Canada, owned by the Suntory Distillery, along with the Papua New Guinea line from Barnies Coffee in Orlando, Florida, or specifically Winter Park, Florida. The whiskey. He is a 12-year out of Canada. I chose it because I wanted to branch out from just bourbons, and it reminded me of an old fraternity brother of mine who loved this stuff so much that he would have it reserved for him at a particular bar. I don't have much information on this whiskey. It's aged in old bourbon barrels, and I don't really have an idea of a mash bill. But with Canadian whiskey, there's like flavoring, there's coloring that could be added. I'm not saying that it's out for a fact in this case, but that's in the confines of what can happen with Canadian whiskey. Now with this whiskey, I gotta say, oh Canada, whoever is on my naughty list, and by naughty I mean people that I just don't like, are getting Canadian Club. Like, this is just awful. It's got a bland taste similar to ethanol and syrup. I cannot emphasize this enough. Deny. Now, on to better news. The Papua New Guinea out of Barnies coffee was actually really good. It smelled really good coming out of the bag. The scent smelled like coffee. So I know it sounds stupid, but like literally when I opened the bag and kind of, for some reason when you open your mouth and take a whiff of something, it just smells better. So it smelled like coffee with a hint of chocolate. I know coffee smelling like coffee isn't revolutionary, but that's just what it was. It's not the flavor or the smell, it's not strong like somebody bathed in 5 different perfumes. It's not fade like LaCroix. The smell presents itself without being overburdensome. The chocolate smell does come out more once you grind the beans. After a 24-hour cold brew, the chocolate smell remains and it is pleasant. Sipping it, it's pretty good. The chocolate smell does not quite translate, but it's still in there. What I like about this coffee is it's smooth and flavorful. Sometimes flavor can be blunt and overpowering, but not really in this case. After cold brewing this coffee, this just feels right. Right. This is definitely a coffee that you want to buy. Full buy rating. Pairing. This is just not something that you're gonna want. Really, it isn't. It tastes like an ashtray. It's not a heavy ashtray smell, and I know I said in earlier episodes that I would tell you succinct things that I've tasted. This taste, and I have tasted ash before, unfortunately. This tastes like you took the contents of an ashtray, put it in a blender with some water, and drank it. Like, it is just bad. I really kind of put the blame more on the Canadian Club than I do the Barnies. It's like the Barnies tried, but it just couldn't overcome the awfulness of the Canadian Club. Hard deny on this pairing. Full buy on the coffee. Deny on the whiskey. And that's our show for today. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, enjoy some coffee and whiskey with the Roasted Barrel Review.